Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome to the Wobble Enjoy Sports channel. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. And for the third year in a row, it's time to start talking NFL. It's just nice to keep things fresher around the channel. We're in the arse end of the rugby league season. We're at the very start of the 2023-24 NFL season. If you are new around here and you don't know how I present my predictions, my tips, my previews, it's not so much based around stats and players availability or unavailability. I present the information with the history between the franchises. I am absolutely wrapped in NRL and NRLW that I could name, 99% of the players off the back of me friggin' hand sort of thing. When it comes to NFL players, that is just backing up the truck and just absolutely dumping an absolute bomb onto me. So, and that's with a lot of respect, but I still have a good understanding. So anyway, let's get stuck straight into the 2023-2024 NFL tips. Do it. The 2023 NFL season starts on Friday morning from Arrowhead Stadium, where the champions from last season, the Kansas City Chiefs, host arguably the most anticipated team of 2023 in the Detroit Lions. On sportsbet.com.au, the Chiefs are $1.40 favourites, whereas the Detroit Lions are sitting at $3.04. This will be the 15th meeting between the Chiefs and the Lions, and it is the first time they've combated each other since 2019. For the Detroit Lions, this is their first trip to Arrowhead Stadium since 2003. 20 years since they've traveled down to Kansas City, but the Detroit Lions have not won against the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium since 1988, bro. The overall head-to-head record does go to the Chiefs as well. In their 15th meeting, or coming into their 15th meeting, it is 9-5 in way of the Chiefs. There is a little bit of movement for both of these sides. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback, obviously is coming in full strength after he finished the season remarkably well, battling that ankle injury he sustained in the playoffs. That was an amazing effort and achievement from Mahomes. So with Kansas City Chiefs, they've had a bit of a belting in the wide receiver department. They've lost Juju Smith-Schuster and they've lost McCole Hardman to different franchises, but both of those wide receivers, you wouldn't call them the absolute superstars of the side, obviously, with the likes of a Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes in there as well. But losing Smith-Schuster and McCole Hardman this season is going to be an obstacle, a good challenge for this premier side to overcome. For the Detroit Lions, they've got a few changes, of course, themselves. Ted Bridgewater comes from the Carolina Panthers to be the backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, Jared Goff for the Detroit Lions will be the main quarterback, but it's defensively. It's defensively where the Detroit Lions have had a lot of movement, and more to the point, they've had a lot of losses defensively, a lot of movement around their defensive pack. I am going to tip the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they probably will breach that 13 plus margin on the Detroit Lions, but nothing extravagant. This is a great test for the Detroit Lions, of course. Every game matters in the NFL. It's not like the NRL where there's 27 rounds. There's only, 18 rounds, 19 rounds in the NFL this season. So every game has a little bit more, as the rugby league guru says, more urgency. So this is going to be fascinating to see how the Detroit Lions go this season. I really hope they get there to the playoffs. It would be their first time since 2016, but I don't think they've won a playoff game since before the new millennium, off the top of the dome sort of thing. It's close about to that mark anyway. I'm going to tip the Kansas City Chiefs to get their defending premiership season underway with a big fat dub. From Friday morning, we then go straight into Monday morning at 3 a.m. A huge block of games, as always, kicks off. And the very first game that Sportsbet have got up to highlight is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the San Francisco 49ers from Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The home side Pittsburgh Steelers are the outsiders at $2.16, whereas the San Francisco 49ers are sitting at that $1.70 mark. This will be the 23rd meeting between the two sides, and the 49ers have the overall head-to-head record lead at 12 wins and 10 losses. These two sides last met in 2019. San Francisco won that battle in San Francisco. As a matter of fact, the past 5 meetings between these two franchises, the home side has won. So there's a little bit of hope there for you Steelers fans. Pittsburgh was the last team to win away in this fixture, and that was way back in 1999. The 49ers have not won in Pittsburgh since 1996. So there's a bit to overcome for the 49ers themselves as well. Going into just a little bit of news for the 49ers, they gave up Jimmy Garoppolo and they gave up Trey Lance. And now they're only working with Brock Purdy pretty much. But the backup quarterback is Sam Darnold, who is coming in from the Carolina Panthers. So again, a lot of movement in the quarterback pack for the San Francisco 49ers throughout the offseason. And as for Pittsburgh, it's steady as she goes. They did lose Chase Claypool, an offensive player, and they did pick up the likes of a Xander Hovarth as well for the running back. I'd say in the offseason, Pittsburgh, they've put a bit more attention towards the running back and a couple of defensive players than anything else, whereas they did lose Chase Claypool throughout the offseason as well. Mike Tomlin is going to make sure that they are in this game like within 10 points if they do end up losing, maybe even closer than that. But I do like the San Francisco 49ers here. I do think that they will break, I think they will break that record of the home side winning 5 games in a row in this fixture. They'll win for the first time since 1996 at Pittsburgh. But please, Steelers Nation Australia, please don't come after me for saying that. But I just think the 49ers they got a little bit more explosiveness to them. From Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, the Atlanta Falcons host the Carolina Panthers in a rivalry game. The Falcons, the home side, $1.52. The Panthers at $2.55. Oh, that's enticing immediately for me. This will be the 57th meeting between the two sides, and it's Atlanta who have the overall head-to-head record at 35-21. Last season, both these sides shared the W, and Carolina last won in Atlanta in 2021. And just a little bit more pepper to this rivalry. The past 6 games in this fixture have all been decided by 10 points or less. I think the Carolina Panthers at 255 is almost too good to pass up. They have a new head coach in Frank Reich, who was with the Indianapolis Colts, and they've done some pretty nice recruitment, the Carolina Panthers, and they were a tough bitch in the second half of last season to try and put away. They even gave the Seahawks an almighty scare last season. Well, they beat them and put the fear of God into us that we may not have made the playoffs. For the Atlanta Falcons, they themselves, they will be working, I'm pretty sure, with a brand new quarterback this season. It will not be Marcus Ariota. So I think I'm going to go for the Carolina Panthers in this game. I'm going to follow the juice that is there. So Carolina Panthers, I think this will be close, but I'm going to tip the Carolina Panthers. M&T Bank Stadium is the venue for our next matchup. The Baltimore Ravens host the Houston Texans, and on Sportsbet, the Ravens are $1.18. The Texans are sitting about $4.95. This will be the 13th meeting between the two sides, and the Baltimore Ravens have a 10-2 record over the Houston Texans. There's a playoff game in there as well, I'm pretty sure. Houston have never won in Baltimore, and they last defeated Baltimore in 2014. The Ravens, they are just hoping that, I touch wood for them, they're just hoping that they don't get absolutely decimated through injury for the third year in a row. But Lamar Jackson, he finally re-signed. He is going to be the quarterback. Odell Beckham Jr. is also going to be in the wide receiver group for the Ravens this season, which is massive. The Ravens should be way too good for the Houston Texans. They should win by at least 17 points. But we did see the Ravens make it really hard for themselves last year. I know that they were very much injured, so yeah, I don't know about the Ravens. I've said it ever since I've started talking about NFL, but the Ravens are just that side that are like the Newcastle Knights in the rugby league for me. I just can never seem to get a good enough grasp on them. So hopefully by the end of the season, I got some sort of a grip on them. Then the Ohio Derby awaits Cincinnati versus Cleveland at the newly renamed Cleveland Browns Stadium. Cleveland Browns, the home side, are outsiders at $2.11, whereas the Bengals are $1.73 favourites. And immediately, this is one of the games of the weekend. This will be the 100th game between the Bengals and the Browns, and it's Cincinnati who have the overall head-to-head record at 52 wins to 47. However, since 2018, Cleveland have won 8 of the past 10 matches against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati broke a 5-game losing streak against the Cleveland Browns last year, and Cincinnati have not won in Cleveland since 2017. So the 100th match, the Browns have dominated this fixture 80% of the time in the past 10 matches in a row. They've won the past 5 games in a row up until last season. This is huge. The Browns, unfortunately, had a not disaster season, but close enough to last year. And now they're a little bit more settled, and they've got Deshaun Watson now for a full preseason, a full season now. So they need to be more competitive. And I think they can. I think they are in that mix for a wild card spot. I really do. They were so good a couple of seasons ago when surely it's a little bit more of a come up season for the Cleveland Browns this year. Meanwhile, for the Cincinnati Bengals, they have had a couple of changes in their lineup, and some would say that it's a little bit of dead wood that they've needed to get rid of. So let's go into Cincinnati. So they've got Von Bell, Trey Flowers, and Eli Apple, who are going to be, or who are gone for the Cincinnati Bengals. Apple, Flowers, and Bell are out for the Cincinnati Bengals. They've gone off to different franchises as well. Now, going into the quarterback situation as well, Joe Burrow is still under an injury cloud, but it looks like he will take up his spot in the main quarterback position this weekend. I give the Browns a massive chance. I am looking at those historical stats, and I'm really thinking maybe I should go for that upset win for the Cleveland Browns to pip the Bengals. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals, I think they can do it. I think they'll do it, but it's going to be a classic. This is one of my most anticipated games for the opening week of the 2023 NFL season. Picking up our gear and going off to Minnesota now. US Bank Stadium is the next venue. The Vikings host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on sportsbet.com.au. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who are outsiders. The Vikings are $1.37 favourites. This will be the 57th meeting between the two franchises, and the Vikings have the overall head-to-head record at 33-23. The last time these two sides met was in the year 2020, and Tampa Bay won that edition, but this is their first trip to the Vikings' home ground since 2017, where they copped a loss. Tampa Bay last won in Minnesota in the year 2012, and since 2001, however, Tampa Bay have won 7 of the past 9 encounters. The Vikings were a really wild side to watch last season. They scraped kind of into the playoffs last season, and they're now missing a player like Dalvin Cook, who I believe has gone off to the New York Jets off the top of the dome. So that is a massive loss. Also, defensively, Zadarius Smith is gone from the Vikings as well. So they've lost a couple of superstar players throughout the offseason, and they sort of wilted away towards the back end of the season as well. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I just they're not going to be in wildcard contention, in my opinion, this season. But I do give them a sniff just because it is opening week, and the Vikings just, I don't know, they're just going to be another wild watch this season, aren't they? But I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings can get this one and win this game by at least 2 converted touchdowns. FedEx Field is the next venue for our next. Is it already that time of year? Are we starting the year with a friggin' wooden spoon bowl match? Are we? Holy shit. FedEx Field is the venue for our next matchup. It is the Washington Commanders hosting the Arizona Cardinals. The Commanders are $1.27 favorites, whereas the Cardinals are $3.82. This will be the 39th meeting between the Commanders and the Cardinals since the Cardinals became the Arizona or Phoenix Cardinals, and the Commanders have a 24-15 overall head-to-head record lead. But in history, since the Cardinals were once Chicago, this will be the 127th, but we won't confuse this situation. This will be the 39th edition between the Cardinals and the Commanders. This is their first meeting since 2020, and the Arizona Cardinals won in Arizona. This is the first match at FedEx Field since 2017 for the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe that's the last time the Commanders defeated the Cardinals. CC, and for the Arizona team, they last won in Washington, D.C. in the year 1998. So Taylor Heineke is out for the Commanders. He's been, off the top of the head, he's been shipped off to a different team. Apologies, I can't remember who Taylor Heineke was shipped off to, but they're dealing with a new quarterback this season, the Commanders, and meanwhile, the Cardinals this season are the wooden spoon favorites, or the favorite option to get the number 1 overall draft pick by the end of the season. In other terms, I'm going to tip the Washington Commanders with not a whole lot of confidence, but oh my God, what sort of game is this going to be? And an inter-promotional matchup awaits between the Saints and the Titans at Caesars Superdome. NFC versus AFC in week 1 of the 2023 NFL season. The Saints host the Titans. This is the 17th meeting overall since the Tennessee Titans were the Oilers, but since as a franchise, the Titans versus the Saints, this is the 9th meeting, and the Tennessee Titans have a 7-2 overall head-to-head record. These two sides last met in 2021. Tennessee won in Tennessee. Since the Tennessee Titans' first ever match at New Orleans in 1999, the Tennessee Titans are undefeated inside of their Superdome. That is a wild stat. I think it's like 3 or 4 game winning streak inside of the Superdome. So New Orleans, they last defeated Tennessee in 2019, but 4 matches in a row have been decided by 10 points or less as well. So this should be another thriller. But Tennessee are undefeated against the Saints in New Orleans. The Tennessee Titans picked up DeAndre Hopkins throughout the offseason to fill up a gap in the wide receiver position. And for the New Orleans Saints, unfortunately, smashing running back Alvin Kamara is suspended for the first month or 5 weeks or so due to an off-field incident. So the second option running back will be filling that spot this weekend. I know the history goes against the Saints, but going back into the betting lineup, Titans are $2.44. The Saints are $1.56. I don't want to go near the Tennessee Titans. I think the Saints will win this game. I'll absolutely headbutt a nail if the Titans win this game, considering all the history I just freaking spoke about. But I'm gonna tip the New Orleans Saints to break this sort of hoodoo that is on them against the Tennessee Titans. We're off to Lucas Oil Stadium now, and the Indianapolis Colts host the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Colts are $2.97. The Jacksonville Jaguars are $1.40, and these two AFC rivals, they have had themselves 44 meetings in the past. This weekend will be number 45, and the overall head-to-head record goes towards the Colts, 27-17. But while all the hype is about the Jaguars and the very loud crickets are all on the Indianapolis Colts this season, Jacksonville have not won in Indianapolis since 2017. But since that game in 2017, the overall head-to-head record between these two sides is 6-5, but that is going the way still of the Indianapolis Colts. So it has tightened a little bit over the past 6 or so seasons. Jacksonville Jaguars, they should wrap up their division. Colts being one of those teams inside that division. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will do it, and I think they'll start their season with a really good win away from home. Also, being that there's some awful talk that superstar running back Jonathan Taylor wants out of the Indianapolis Colts, and the way that the Colts also just fell in a heap last season as well. Yeah, I'm going to go the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game by at least 10 points. The next game I ask you, is it a rivalry or isn't it? I reckon it's bloody close to being one. The New England Patriots host the Philadelphia Eagles from Gillette Stadium, and it's the Patriots who are $2.66. The Super Bowl runner-ups are $1.48. This will be the 16th meeting between the two franchises, and the Eagles have an 8-7 overall head-to-head lead. These two sides last met in 2019 at Philadelphia, but New England won. This is the first trip to New England for the Philadelphia Eagles since 2015, and they won in that season. And the last time that New England defeated Philadelphia on their home soil was in the year 2007. The Philadelphia Eagles, they've picked up a couple of nice players over the offseason to boost their chances of returning to a Super Bowl, one of which being is DeAndre Swift from the Detroit Lions, who I really enjoyed watching last season in particular. And then for the New England Patriots, they did pick up Juju Smith-Schuster from the Kansas City Chiefs throughout the offseason, but I think it's just going to be another mid sort of a season for the Patriots. But week one, they could get a massive scalp, and Bill Belichick, we know, can absolutely rumble up and upset when he wants to. So I'm going to tip the Philadelphia Eagles, but I don't think they'll smash the Patriots. I think it could be high scoring too. I think maybe like a 27-24 sort of a scoreline could be on offer. But in any event, I'm going to go the Philadelphia Eagles. And there is no doubt about this game on whether or not it is a rivalry. It is arguably the biggest, best rivalry in the NFL. The Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos duke it out at Denver for the 128th time. And the Las Vegas Raiders have a 71-54 and 2 draw record over the Broncos. On Sportsbet, it is the Raiders who are outsiders, though, at $2.52. The Broncos are $1.53 favorites. Since 2020, Las Vegas have won 6 in a row against the Denver Broncos. And you think about how disastrous they've been over the past 18 months or so, the Las Vegas Raiders. Denver last defeated the Raiders in 2019, and that was at Mile High Stadium. So the Denver Broncos come into this season with Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints Super Bowl winning coach, as their HC this season, and with Russell Wilson still there and obviously stinging from last year's disaster. I think the Denver Broncos might be on the charge for a wild card spot. I don't think they'll be winning the division considering they share it with the Chiefs. but I think Denver, that I think they could be pretty dangerous this season. Fingers crossed anyway for them. For the Las Vegas Raiders, I still look at their team and I still get the sense that they could do something, but they've let everybody down over the past 2 years or so. And I'm not going to put any trust into the Las Vegas Raiders this year. So I'm going to say that the Broncos break the hoodoo against the Raiders starting this weekend. And it'll be a close game. I think they'll only win by a single converted touchdown. So I'm going to say the Denver Broncos beat the Raiders this weekend. The oldest rivalry in the NFL, however, is our next matchup, and it's taking place from Soldier Field. The Chicago Bears host the Green Bay Packers, and the Bears are $1.82 favorites to the Green Bay Packers, $1.99. This is going to be the 207th meeting between the Bears and the Packers have the head-to-head record at 105-95. The Packers are on an 8-game winning streak versus the Bears that started in 2019. Chicago last defeated the Packers in 2018, and that was in Chicago. And since 2011, there have been 26 matches between the Bears and the Packers, and the Bears have only won 3 of them. It is all green and yellow as far as this matchup is concerned. For the Green Bay Packers, obviously, their star quarterback, who we'll get to very soon, is gone, and in comes Jordan Love, who they've been sitting on for what feels like a decade. Also, for the Chicago Bears now, they have their quarterback all cinched up. They're still a youthful side. And I think there's a bit of a dangerous feel about them this year. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive than what they were last season. But whether they get off to a winning start this weekend, I'm not too sure. There's like a touch of like there's Chicago Bears have got this youthful exuberance ready to explode. And I think that could be what makes them win this weekend. But the Green Bay Packers, I think, while yes, Jordan Love is still a young man coming in, and they are a little bit more younger than what they were last season, there's still just a little bit more experience in that Packers side, a little bit more maturity. I feel like I might be wrong. This is a hard game to tip, man. Um, I'm gonna tip the Bears. I want to tip the Packers just because they are the outsiders and the Bears are favorites. Like, that is so strange. Like, when was the last time the Bears were the favorites over the Packers? But I'm gonna go the Chicago Bears actually to win this game. From SoFi Stadium, the Los Angeles Chargers host the Miami Dolphins, and the Chargers are $1.59 favorites. The Dolphins are $2.37. That is immediately great value on the Dolphins. This will be the 37th meeting between the two franchises, and the Dolphins have a 19-17 lead. They last met last season at SoFi, but the Chargers did win that game. Miami Dolphins beat Los Angeles Chargers in 2020, and that was at Miami. So 2020, the last time the Miami Dolphins defeated the LA Chargers. This game is so critically important already in week 1. I think a victory here sets up their season beautifully. You think that the head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers is one of the 5 coaches or 3 coaches most under pressure this season in Brandon Staley. Miami Dolphins coach, however, is under a bit of pressure too. But the quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, fingers crossed that he has himself a relatively injury-free season as well. This could be a really exciting game. This is a huge contest. Genuinely, it really is. But I can't ignore the value on the Dolphins, and I think they played better at times than the Chargers did last season, even though I don't think the Dolphins made the playoffs in the end last year. I think this is the year the Dolphins do, and I'm going to tip the Dolphins at $2.37. Cowboys and Giants battle it out in an NFC East rivalry game, and this will be the 123rd edition of the Giants and the Cowboys. The Cowboys have the head-to-head record at 73-47, with 2 draws thrown in there as well. The Cowboys are on a 4-game winning streak versus the Giants since late 2021. The Giants last defeated Dallas Cowboys in the first half of 2021, and since 2017, Dallas has won 11 of the past 12 encounters against the New York Giants. The Cowboys, I still believe, will be thereabouts. I think they are the favourites to win the division. How far they can go, possibly. This could be that year they make the NFC Championship game. Meanwhile, the New York Giants, I hate to talk about my own rugby league side, but the Cowboys had an out of nowhere great season, and then the year after they came back crashing down to earth and finished outside of the finals picture. What's that going to look like for the New York Giants this season? I don't I don't think I trust them to make the playoffs this season, but a great foundation was laid for them last season for the New York Giants. But that record is pretty damning for the New York Giants. So in that case, even though they are the favourites, the Cowboys, I'm going to tip the Cowboys to win this game. And my boys, Seattle Seahawks, are hosting the Los Angeles Rams from Lumen Field on sportsbet.com.au. The Seahawks are the favourites at $1.39, and the Los Angeles Rams are $3.02. This will be the 52nd meeting between the two that shared the same spots inside the same division, and it is the Seahawks that have a 27-24 overall head-to-head record. And just a little bit of history as well. As far as regular season competition goes, this is the 50th regular season match between the Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. They have played 2 playoff games that have both gone the way of the Los Angeles Rams, the bastards. Seattle are on a 2-game winning streak versus the Los Angeles Rams after they lost 3 in a row to the Rams, and that was in that Rams dominant sparkling period there. There is an air of expectation. There is a fair bit of confidence around the Seattle Seahawks this season. They do get Bobby Wagner back into the defensive fold. He should never have left, in my opinion. Unfortunately, we lose Rashad Penny as a running back to the Philadelphia Eagles, but it just means that Kenneth Walker and DJ Dallas can still will come in and do their thing. Geno Smith, still the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks as well. I heard or read that there was a rumbling that Noah Fant was going to be off somewhere, but thank goodness that he is staying. And Pete Carroll, in our draft, he identified that we needed a couple of wide receivers, and that's exactly what we got. We got the 4th overall draft pick, and that name, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Jake Bobo, when both those players had themselves a decent preseason from what I've seen and from all reports as well. And then obviously, DK Metcalf, who's been carved out of friggin' rock, and also Tyler Lockett as well, man. So I'm pretty confident about the Seahawks. I'm pretty confident about the attack. I think it was the first half of last year, they were more defensively orientated, and then the second half of the season they were more attack orientated, and then they gave it their best shot in playoffs in San Francisco, and they were up at halftime as well. But unfortunately, they fell in the end, and it was an insane season yet again for the Seattle Seahawks. So what are we going to expect this year? Get the defibrillators ready. As far as the Los Angeles Rams goes, yeah, they do lose Odell Beckham Jr. to the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, I don't know what to make about the LA Rams this season either. Not a whole lot of recruitment, retention, or what have you. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be much of a blip on the radar this season. So come on, Seattle Seahawks this weekend. They're going to win this game 13+. And the final game of week number 1 emanates from MetLife Stadium. It is the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. The Bills come into the game as $1.71 favorites. The Jets are $2.14 outsiders. And I said before that the Detroit Lions were the most anticipated side to watch this year. Well, maybe I should backtrack that comment, or at least make them second, because the Jets, everyone is eyeing the Jets to make their first playoff appearance since the year 2010. And why not? Now, so far as team list news goes, Breece Hall did his ACL in about July. Oh, no, sorry, not July, ya Wally. About November last season. And it looks like he is this close away from being uh, chucked out onto the paddock in week 1, which is a remarkable recovery from an ACL injury. But he's coming back so soon, man. Meanwhile, for the Buffalo Bills, yeah, this is another season where they should go really deep into playoffs, but yeah, they were a bit strange last year. They should have been a little bit better, in my opinion. But of course, the other man that I need to mention, of course, is Aaron Rodgers is now the quarterback for the New York Jets, and yeah, the Jets nearly did it last season, and with Aaron Rodgers and with Breece Hall hopefully having a full season under his belt, yeah, maybe the Jets can actually nab a wild card spot. Maybe not clinch the division because the Buffalo Bills are there, but the Jets did defeat them last season, didn't they? Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game, and if I'm not working, I'll be freaking watching this game. Uh, Oh, bugger it. I'm going to go for glory. The, yeah, I'm going to go for glory. I think this will be a great game. I'm going to tip the New York Jets to win this game at $2.14 and start their campaign towards playoffs. Whew, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next week's episode. And come on, you Seattle Seahawks. The NFL season is here. How freaking good is that? Take care. Adios.